In this setting, I'm going to talk to you about a poem called The Meditation Cushion. This poem was written by Xingang. She is a Chinese Buddhist monk who lived from 1597 to 1654 by our calendar. Those of you who are in the room have a copy of that poem in front of you. It is 4 lines long. Those of you who do not have a copy of the poem in front of you, it's easy enough to find online. Our author's name is Xingang, which is Xinggang. Xingang. It's from the book Daughters of Emptiness, poems by Chinese Buddhist nuns from about a century's worth of time. So I'll read it for you. The meditation cushion goes thusly. A single meditation cushion, and one is completely protected. Earth may crumble, heaven collapse, but here one is at peace. Sacred titles and worldly fame both fade away in the sitting, and the great universe assembles on the tip of a feather. So one more time. A single meditation cushion, and one is completely protected. Earth may crumble, heaven collapse, but here one is at peace. Sacred titles and worldly fame both fade away in the sitting, and the great universe assembles on the tip of a feather. So, that's what I'm going to talk about, ever so briefly. Like with all poetry, poetry belongs to the reader. So you have just as much intimacy and awareness of this poem as I do. It's yours. What I'm going to offer you are places that it helps me go, places that it takes me. But what I'm offering is not designed to be prescriptive. Right? It's a poem. It belongs to you. This is one of my favorite poems. I've talked about it many times. I oftentimes talk about it in this setting because I think it's a helpful poem to describe not only Zazen, which obviously is what we're here to discover and get to know a little bit more about, but also a little bit of a hint of the Buddhist understanding of what meditation is about. Right? We started by saying today there are a lot of ways of using the word meditation, valid and beautiful. A lot of different expressions of the activity that we call meditation, all valid, beautiful. So what I'm going to give you a little bit more of is a little bit more insight into how Buddhism as a tradition in general regards the activity that we're engaged in today. So what that means is this is a really broad brush. We're painting with a very broad brush today, right? Which suits me. I'm not good at details. So, my teacher told me many years ago, and he has said the same thing ever since, and this is a true thing. You can look up these words if you want. He said, basically, broad brush, there are 2 types of meditation that exist in the world. Boom and boom. And everything that you explore is probably going to fall into one of those categories primarily, perhaps both secondarily, but it's going to fit into one of these 2 things. And he always described them to me as the left foot and right foot. One isn't better, they're just different. And so when you're walking, it's not like your left foot is winning the walk. You're just walking, right? Those 2 types of meditation are shamatha and vipassana. Words you may not know, words you may know. Shamatha is Sanskrit. It is spelled S-A-M-A-T-H-A, shamatha. It means basically relaxing, calming, focusing, centering. Right? This is what most people tend to think of when they start to think about meditation. Calming, focusing, centering, relaxing. Does that make sense? I think most people are like, yeah, that's what meditation is supposed to be. Yeah, that's one of the forms it can take. Calming, focusing, centering, relaxing. Shamatha. Right? The second form, vipassana. Vipassana is usually translated as insight. Awareness into. Digging down and looking carefully. You can feel how those two activities, calming, centering, focusing, and looking deeply and having insight into, would complement one another. You kind of get how they would work, right foot, left foot. Right? In a very general sense. So, in my eyes, probably because I want it to, this poem describes both of those things. So that's my jumping off place today. The first two lines, even if we are non-meditators, would probably sound about what we would expect a poem about meditation to sound like. Right? Oh, the meditation cushion. You're completely protected. You're at peace. No matter what happens outside, on the cushion, Right? That's great. There's great truth in that. There's great truth in that. In the Zen tradition, we honor both of these, shamatha and vipassana. They're almost never used, these two words. They're almost never discussed as being different because the thing we're doing called zazen is so completely understood to be both at the same time that we don't bother to discriminate. It's kind of like when you're saying to your friend, I'm going to go for a walk, and I'm going to use my left leg, and then my right leg, and then my left leg, and then my right leg, and your friend's hung up on you because that's really boring. Right? And yeah, we all know you're doing one thing comprised of two parts. You don't have to keep, right? And zazen is understood like, yeah, it has a shamatha component and it has a vipassana component. Yeah, of course. Right? So the reason that these are taught in the order that they are, because what I offered you today, if you've never received meditation instruction, was a really simplified beginner's view of shamatha. Hey, where's your body right now? Come back to it. It's your home. Hey, where's your breath right now? It's right there for you. There's your posture. There's your body. There's your life. You're safe. Right? And when you get lost in confusion and agitation and complexity and past and future and narrative and meaning and anxiety, the instruction just says, oh, no, it's okay. Come back. Where are you? Oh, right. Yeah, oh, I'm right here. I mean, everybody kind of gets that intuitively, right? Because that's kind of the mindfulness movement. Where's your body? Where's your breath? Are you here? There you go. Isn't that nice? So we can kind of see that basic movement of, oh, wait, I got caught. Come back. Is a muscle that gets strengthened with repeated use. You can kind of imagine how if you spent 20 minutes every day, half an hour every day, sitting and practicing that. When you wander, come home. When you get lost, come home. Come home. That you get used to doing that. It just starts being available to you. You're like, oh, yeah, right. I'm not in later tonight, I'm here. I'm not in yesterday, I'm here. I'm not in 5th grade, I'm here. I'm not 20 years from now, I'm here. Here it is, right here. Where's my body, where's my breath? Can you feel that's what we're doing? We're going from the many to the one. Past and future to here. Ideas and concepts, home. Direct experience. So you kind of get that flavor, right? And you kind of understand how if you were to sit and just do that with nothing else, if you were just to sit and do that, one of the things you would probably learn by accident maybe would be, I actually have a huge influence over my experience by just using my attention. Where I put my awareness makes a huge difference, is what Noor was talking about, right? In the traffic jam, you can be the one person who isn't actually freaked out because you're aware of your hands on the steering wheel. It has a texture. You can feel the seatbelt over this shoulder and against the bone there. You can feel it against here. You can feel the texture of the shirt. You notice how your breath moved up in your body when you got anxious, and then you invited it back down into the belly just like you've been doing for 2 hours. And you just be, this is what's happening right now. I'm right here. Right here. So you kind of get the flavor here, right? Shamatha, calming, relaxing, centering. Right? You can be a non-anxious presence to your experience. Just by focusing on one aspect of it. Do you understand the movement there? My anxiety is coming from my fears about the future and my ideas. And so even to go, oh, I can see what I'm doing. Where's your breath? You're going from bloop to bloop. Those are the sound effects it makes. You're going from your ideas to your direct experience. Can you feel it? You're going from your personality and your personal desires and your personal agenda back to something that's actually happening. You're going from the abstract to the concrete. You're going from past and future to present. Okay. This helps us to calm the waves. This helps us to calm the waves. It's a metaphor we hear over and over. The busy mind, waves, waves, waves. Oh, you can calm those waves so that it's something you can see your reflection in, right? This literally has a calming effect on the nervous system. This is strengthening our capacity to be the observer of our experience. Do you feel how that's happened? A little bit you're like, oh, that's interesting. My mind sure is busy. But I'm describing to my mind being busy, which means it must not be that mind. I mean, logically, if you can observe your thoughts, you are not them. I mean, that's just a true thing. If you can observe something, you're not it, obviously. And so you're like, oh, wow, this body's really anxious. I guess I must not be that. I'm in relationship to it suddenly. Wow, those thoughts, look at them go. I must not be those. Ooh, didn't something get very interesting all of a sudden? I thought those feelings were me. I thought that body was me. I thought those thoughts and ideas and beliefs were me. I'm kind of scared of them going away. That's me. Who in this room describes thoughts as not my thoughts? Oh my God, I was just thinking about. Of course you think that's you. You not only assume that your thoughts are you, you also assume they're true. Good luck with that. Write them down someday. For 10 minutes, stream of consciousness. Don't let your pen stop. Write down your thoughts and then go back and reread them and go, how many of those are actually true? Further, how many of them are kind? How many of them are wise? How many of them are loving? If you can observe something and you are not it, what starts happening is, how do I want to be in relationship with this thing? So Zen, the school of Buddhism we call Zen, is part of what's called the Mahayana. Google it. Maha means great, and yana means vehicle, the great vehicle. It's a movement in Buddhism that starts roughly the time of Christ, give or take 100 years, 0, whatever by our Caesar calendar. And it's a movement within Buddhism, very generally speaking, that puts the quality of compassion first and foremost. It says this is our primary function as Buddha. Our primary function as living beings is our nature is compassion, and everything should go back to that. Everything should touch that. Everything should be in relationship to that. Compassion is the highest possible spiritual ideal. That's the highest spiritual ideal, right? And so what are we talking about there? Well, what we're talking about is a relationship. We all understand what compassion is. You guys all know what the word compassion is. That's a kind relationship with suffering. Right? That's what it is. Compassionate. Oh my God, I can see that you're having a hard time. I'm going to lean toward you. Tell me more about that. Are you okay? What's going on? Can you feel it? I'm in a relationship with you. I'm in a relationship with you. That's compassion. Oh, she's got such a compassionate heart. We're talking about a relationship with suffering. Of course. Everybody knows this. And so when the water starts to calm, and the waves start to decrease a little bit, and I start to remember as a Busho, oh, there's a body here, and it's anxious, and there's thoughts here, and they're racing, and there's a heart here that's feeling whatever it's feeling, and I am the witness to it, because that's what Shamatha taught me. I'm welcomed into the second movement, the second type of meditation, which is insight, looking really deeply. The water is a little calmer now. I can see a lot further down in, right? What keeps making those waves? What keeps making the waves? Where does the suffering come from? What is this? Can you feel the question starts being really, really different. And especially when I start figuring out, wait, I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my body. I'm not limited by those things. They're there, but they're not the totality of me any more than my feelings. Then all of a sudden I start asking really, really, really Vipassana-y questions like, who am I? Everything I've ever thought of as the self I can observe. I am therefore not that. Uh-oh, this started getting serious. Suddenly I'm glad I'm in a zendo full of 25 other people because I'm having a little bit of an existential moment here because I've just realized there's no one home. Oh my God. Tell me about yourself. Every single thing I will tell you is not that. Because every single thing I'm going to tell you is something that I can describe, something that I have a word for, something I'm in a relationship with, something I can observe. So it's a central Zen question, who are you? And we ask that question with great seriousness. Only because we spend most of our time identified with the small, suffering human self. I don't mean small you understand what I mean by small, limited. Limited, right? So the second movement, Vipassana, that our friend Shingon describes as sacred titles and worldly fame are fading away. You can observe all that stuff, right? The party's like, yeah, wouldn't it be kick-ass to be a famous Zen teacher? Yeah, that's right. There's a line out the door to see me, baby. Whoosh. Can you feel how I might have mixed feelings about the whoosh? Do I really want that to go? Ooh. This is starting to show us something that Buddhism has been offering us for 2,500 years, which is, you are deeply in love with your suffering. Don't kid yourself. You are really invested in that small self that suffers, and you do not want to let it go. No, I do. I swear I'm here at Zen Center. I aspire to enlightenment. I want to see it all. Here it is. No, never. Not all of it. I mean, geez Louise, all right? I just want a lower heart rate so I can golf better. Come on, man. Right? Wow. Can you kind of see how all the layers of self start to show up? This isn't me criticizing somebody who wants to do Zen because they want to golf better. Good for you. Golf better. What do I care? But can you kind of feel how at some point we follow the breadcrumb trail far enough, and that's what this room is for, that's what the center is for, to start asking tremendously fundamental questions. I promise your suffering will not leave until you genuinely want it to leave. And if you believe the sentence I just said, and you suffer, that means you're not ready. We like that small self. We really do. That's not a problem. I'm not describing a pathology to you. I'm not describing to you a personal failing. I'm describing to you human nature. Perfectly fine. Human nature is included. Right? But Buddhism's starting point was, wow, once you're born, it seems like it's too late. Yeah. It hurts the whole time, doesn't it? Never goes away. Like having a body. And there's emotions and thoughts and beliefs and my karma and what my mom and dad told me, what the church told me, this is a rough ride. Until you're dead, right? Shit. Which is Sanskrit for, oh no, what do we do now? Right? Roughly translated. And so for 2,500 years, people have said, what a good first step would be to just stop. Just stop, please. For just a minute or two, just stop. It's easier to see the movement of this when the body's still. Even if this is your very first meditation experience, you've already figured out Zazen is not a still thing. Right? I'm the teacher, so I get to face in, and I get to see all of you, right? So you're facing the wall, and I get to look and go, look, this room of Buddhas, 20 of them. Look how good their posture is. They're so beautiful. They're sitting so still. Oh, what a peaceful zendo. Right? It's a peaceful zendo. But if I had psychic powers, which I may or may not have, it'd be like, wow, what a mess. Wow, what a mess. Wow, what a mess. Wow, what a mess. It's like, of course. Oh my God, it's a room full of humans. Each one, oh my God, when's the bell going to ring? Oh my God, I wonder if my wife will ever come back to me. Should I lose 20 pounds? Oh my God, how do I gain 20 pounds? Oh my God, I wish I was... That's the sound it makes, right? Yes, wonderful. It's called the First Noble Truth. The First Noble Truth. Resistance, struggle. The part of me that says, no, I don't like life showing up this way. I have a better idea. Creation. Here's how it should be. I'll give you a list. I think that's hilarious. Well done, all of creation and the history of the cosmos. Okay, well done. I like what you've done. This is a good sort of start. But here's what we're going to need to do. For one thing, I'm going to need to be a foot taller. And then I'm going to, and trees are made of Twinkies. Everybody knows trees are made of Twinkies, as well they should be. And only puppies, please, and babies, but of course they can't cry or poop. And, right? I've got an agenda. And what Buddhism says is, oh yeah, that's the thing that hurts. It isn't this. This is fine. It's you aching for it to be different. There's the rub. And so the second movement, the Vipassana, is so find that in you. Find that in you. Not to eradicate it. That's the difference between Mahayana and original Buddhism. Original Buddhism was no passion, kill it. That's what we're here to do. Later Buddhism, and this isn't a better or worse, this is just different, is, oh, you have suffering there. I think you should hold it close and understand how it comes to be. Relationship, compassion. Right? So if this little beanbag, which helps hold the clock here, it's been in the Zendo for, I don't know, at least the 30 years I've been here, this same crazy beanbag. If this is my suffering, this is the suffering of Busho, what am I going to do with it? Keep it close. It's an interesting idea, isn't it? To hold it close. That's the Bodhisattva ideal. That's the heart of the tradition, compassion. I hear the baby crying and I move toward it. Everybody knows that's what you do. You pick it up. You pick it up. You start to calm it by doing this. Hey, sweetie, you just calm it. And then you start to ask questions of it. What's going on? Are you cold? You lonely? Did you just wake up? Poopy diaper? Shamatha comes first. I'm here unconditionally. And then Vipassana comes second. Hey, what's going on? Tell me the nature of your distress. But can you feel why the order of those things is so important? I'm telling you this from the place in me that knows very, very well what brought me through this door all those years ago, and it was the desire to kill this thing dead. It's funny, and it's also kind of tragic. Because how much patience do I have for your suffering? 0. I don't want to hear it. And if you start crying and you're the baby, I'm going to, well, how do I leave the house? How do I put on headphones? How do I shut you up? And if the spirit of my meditation is, how do I shut it off? How do I shut it down? How do I kill it? How do I run from it? How do I silence it? How do I end it? Can you feel the very beginning of the whole project is designed to distance myself from my humanity? No. It doesn't, number one, it doesn't work. It literally doesn't work. It's never worked. No baby has ever stopped crying because mom left the room and put on headphones and drove away. Doesn't work. But you can also feel what it does. It creates a split. And Buddhism is very, very clear about this. Of course you have greed. Of course you have delusion. Of course you have longing and hate and disappointment and heartbreak because you're a human being in a human body. And it hurts, and you've been given a lot of horrible messages, and you're living in a violent time because guess what? It's always a violent time. And so it hurts. Yeah, I know that. And so what doesn't work is try to get rid of the hurt. Ever. And you know that because it's never once worked for you. Ever, 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 ever. I promise, if you look at your life, you will remember, oh, right, that never works. Ever, ever, ever. Even the drug, it wore off. The relationship that was going to save you ended. Or they turned out to be a human being who had bad breath in the morning. Oh, end of that dream. Right? Right? The puppy grew up. The TV show got canceled. The car broke down. Whatever the answer was. And so you, because I know that you have done this, because everybody does this, in small ways or in large ways, for even 3 breaths at a time, you decided to hold the baby. And something happened. So the central teaching, this is a central teaching of Zen Buddhism. No mud, no lotus. Everybody wants the lotus. I get it. Happiness, joy, enlightenment, freedom, divinity, transcendence. Of course. You are that. You have always been that. You cannot not be that. It's a mark you can't possibly miss. Seriously. It's literally impossible for you to miss that mark. That's what you are. And where is that rooted? Isn't it beautiful to know? It's rooted right here in my humanity, my aching heart, my busy mind, my anxiety, my trauma, my history, my pain. Yeah. That my Buddha nature grows out of that? Doesn't that feel amazing? Those things are connected. Shamatha, Vipassana, Shamatha, Vipassana. Enlightenment, practice, enlightenment. My transcendent nature as consciousness itself, and my humanity caught in form, in cells, in the world of dukkha and red dusts. Wow. So what I'm describing to you, and I will wrap up with this, is a vision of enlightenment that includes everything. That the good doesn't happen when the bad is gone. My enlightenment doesn't happen when my anxiety is gone. Right? My freedom doesn't happen when the heartbreak is over. No, it grows right out of it. It includes it. No one is ever left behind. Nothing is ever left out. Everything is included. The circle has its center everywhere and its circumference nowhere. That is enlightenment. And so when we are on the cushion, just like we are today, I start with, hey, where's your body right now? What part of you is contacting the earth, Busho? Where's your breath? And I check in with myself. That usually takes 5-10 minutes. Sometimes that takes a half hour. That's as much as I ever get to. Amen. Hallelujah. No problem. But usually, if I stick with that body and I stick with that breath for a few minutes and it starts to calm, it starts to trust, you're protected. You're protected. You're only protected because I've promised myself I won't judge anything that shows up. I'll never judge anything that shows up in the cushion. The darkest thought, the darkest impulse, there you are. I understand. You're really scared and hurt, aren't you? Come on in. It's okay. Can you feel how I'm completely protected? She's not kidding, Shingon. I can feel the part of me that wants sacred titles and worldly fame. I get it. Come on in. You're included. You're included. Everything is included. And suddenly, the universe assembling itself on the tip of a feather, you start going, oh, I get it. It's undivided. It really is that big of a circle. And that circle really is me. Does that kind of make sense? It's okay if it doesn't. I'm just planting seeds. I'm planting seeds. But if there's any one takeaway, when you leave this place and go, wow, how come Buddhist meditation? Tell me about Buddhist meditation. Is it like da-da-da? Yeah, it is, but here's where it's different. Here's the thing that they do. This is their deal. Turn toward the suffering and hold it. Turn toward the suffering and hold it. Turn toward the suffering and hold it. That's it. That's literally it. Why? Because that's enlightened activity. That's what love always, 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 always does. Describe to me a love that turns away from suffering, and I'll show you something that is not love. Show me an enlightenment that excludes delusion, and I'll show you something that is not enlightenment. Or it's very small and it's very fragile. So can you feel how counterintuitive this is? My humanity wants to run like crazy. But my awakened nature, just like you, that's your nature. That's your actual nature. How beautiful. So that's why we come to this room. That's why we sit the way we were sitting. That's why we practice the way we practice. So we remember. He's about to ring that bell. I bet I know who's going to show up. I bet it's going to be my humanity. And I'm going to have 20 minutes to just see it. I'm going to love every bit of it. No problem. That's enlightened activity. I came to this room to remember that I'm Buddha, and by golly, there it was. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool what you're doing. This is you guys. I'm describing you. This is what you're doing. You can tell there's no judgment in that. There's no more advanced, less advanced, more successful, less successful. This is what you're doing. It's what you've chosen to do today. What a yes you've said. What a yes you've said. All right. Take the poem with you when you go. All right. That's as much as I need to say. And I appreciate your attention.